Time now for the Educated Retirement Show with your host, Jay Kaplan. Jay discusses reverse mortgages and can answer your questions at 951-922-3532. Call lines are open at 951-922-3532. And now, here's Jay.
Now here's Jay. Sean, is that part pre-recorded, or you don't want to tell anybody? You do it so perfect each time.
That's pre-recorded.
Okay. Probably that answer was too, huh? Anyway, that was Sean, our engineer. This is Jay Kaplan, and welcome to the Educated Retirement Radio here on KMET, the Mighty Met, 1490 AM, where we contemplate retirement and how to best prepare for said retirement and how to best stay happily retired. Now, we're going to retire the year today, very soon. This is the 27th. How many fingers do I have? 29, 33. 5 more days will be a new year. So this is our last show of this year. So let me wish everyone a happy, wonderful New Year, and I mean all of us, and I also mean all of the year. So hang on, and hopefully it won't go as fast as this one did. Did this one seem to go fast for you, Sean?
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah, I think I said this on air once before. Sometimes I think I was told by a wise old somebody, but whoever it was, he was old, that years go by faster as we get older because in our mind, a year becomes a smaller unit. Now, I know mathematically that doesn't make a lot of sense. But then again, the only thing that I say that does make sense is talking about lending and reverse mortgages and HECMs. But what was told to me was that, when you're 1 year old, your whole life is 1 year. So therefore, the unit of a year is big. But when you're 80, it's split into 80 different smaller pieces. So a year is a smaller unit. So take that to the university or whatever, to your math teacher. Figure that one out. So I'm not retired. And I need a lot of guests. I need a lot of guests with answers. And Michael Siegel, hello. Wow, Randy, all right. So you can always put him on. You're in charge, Sean. Hello?
Hello. Hey, buddy.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing great. Just wanted to call and wish you a Happy New Year.
I'm glad you did. Yeah. It makes for a wonderful New Year's, and the more people that wish me and wish you a Happy New Year, the happier the New Year will be. That's a new rule.
That's a new rule. Okay, good.
Dr. Heckham rule for New Year's, which is now official because you heard it, right?
Hey,
so was Santa good for you? Do you?
Yeah, it's been real nice. Everybody's safe and sound. So.
That's
so
probably the best part
happy Hanukkah
that's
you.
The best present, right?
Yep, everybody's safe and sound. Hey,
good health,
your guest.
Lots of coffee, cigars, and records, right? In that order?
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to let you know I enjoyed your guest you had last week, the divorce attorney from Riverside.
Oh, yeah.
They're very informative. So.
Yeah, I thought so, and I can invite her to a meeting or something, or more, because I think that's something that most people overlook, or they get so involved in their own divorce they forget that they're also dealing with their house and their finance too. So let's leave those divorces for last year and go on to the next one. But she was very informative.
Yeah.
And any big plans for you? Anybody calls in, I'm going to ask maybe if they got any big plans for next year. Not New Year's resolutions. Those don't seem to work very much.
Yeah, no.
And Bob Slater is watching. Maybe he'll call in too.
Yeah, maybe Bob will call in. Okay, good. Yeah, I have all my platforms all laid out. I'm just going to be working my plan And, since I've planned the work, I'm working the plans now. So I'm going up on Stockton the first of the month. I've got a reverse mortgage to go and do up there and take care of that client. And so I'll be gone the first and the second, and then get back here with the new limits that we have now. They're higher, and so they're now eligible to go ahead and take advantage of getting more money out of their reverse mortgage.
Well, you be safe on the road. Say hello to your family and make sure they're all doing well, and you also do well. So Happy New Year.
All right, thank you very much, and nice talking to you.
Hey, now better talking to you, so we can start arguing now. And Bob Slater says Happy New Year to everybody, so I'll say Happy New Year back to Bob. So, I was saying I'm not retired, and who? Oh, well, put him on then. Omar.
Jay, what's going on, my man?
Well, just trying to wrap up the old year and bring on a great new year. So,
I'm excited. I've never been on the radio before.
Well, this is big time. I'm very happy you are. It's not only radio, it's worldwide audio and video podcast, right, Sean? Sean's the engineer, so he's a good guy.
Is.
But Omar, thank you so much for calling in and wishing us a Happy New Year, and you too. Omar's got a great business going, and so have the rest of the holidays been good for you?
They've been okay, man. They've been pretty good. We had a solid end of the year, and really excited about 2020 and what it has to bring. So we're motivated to make 2020 our best year yet.
And you have another gift coming too, right? When is he? Is it a she?
We actually don't know. So my wife is pregnant, but we do not know the sex of the baby yet. But that is due in March. So.
Oh, during my birthday time. So good. Now, are you going to find out the he or the she, or are you going to let it be a surprise?
You know what? We're close enough to where we may just want to let it be a surprise. So we're not quite sure.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Life needs to have as many surprises as possible.
Yeah.
So, how's the rest of the crew over there?
We're doing well.
Amir?
We're doing well. Well, Amir's off, so he's on paternity leave. It feels like we're at that age where, one by one, we're going to start going down as far. But Amir just had a baby. We're all around that same age, in our late 20s, early 30s, where we got to start thinking about having kids if we want kids at all. So, Amir
I was that age once. So don't think you'll be there forever.
Yeah.
But every age has something going for it. So you just gotta take your time to, as they say, smell the roses and enjoy the day you're in.
Yeah. So
Amir will thank you very much again.
No, my pleasure.
Say hello to your wife and everybody else. And have a great New Year.
Excellent. All right, Jay, sounds good. Well, Happy New Year to you and yours, and Happy New Year, everyone listening and watching. Can't wait to see the playback.
You will. Okay, take care of yourself.
Take care, Jay. Bye-bye.
Okay. So I think it's almost break time, but I'll go ahead and finish the one sentence I was starting, and that I'm not retired, but I need your help. So call me, 866-955-2233. 866-955-2233. It's okay. You can put it off a little. You can call me next year if you like. So, or just visit theeducatedretirement.com or drheckham.com. That's www.drhecm.com. And check out everything there, including the blog, which has got all kinds of good stuff on it. So, I think, Sean, I'm running a little late, so maybe not too bad. So I'll hand it over to you, and we'll talk to everyone in just a couple of minutes again. Thanks.
Knowing that you would have wanted it this
All right, good stuff. I should just let it play, but we'll have more time for that. We were talking about my website, drhecm.com, or www.theeducatedretirementradio.com, and just in case you need a visual help, there it is. And halfway down, you'll see a button, one to watch this show. You can also watch the show on KMET 1490am.com and download their app also for anybody that's here on the show. And also there's a button that takes you over to the YouTube channel that has all these shows, bits and pieces of the show. And, just those parts separated of the guests when we have those. So you don't have to listen to me. So I do want more of your questions, your input, and ideas as to subjects to talk about, be it the heck'em, or anything else that affects all of us. So we need to talk about how to enjoy ourselves and improve ourselves. So today is actually National Visit the Zoo Day. Now, you guys are exempt because you are looking at me. It's kind of like being at the zoo, right, Kathleen? Kathleen's my wife, who is afraid to be seen. And anyway, and you're visiting me, so that's that. Yeah. The first actual zoo, just so you know, to educate and entertain was opened in London in 1828. Seems to me like it should have been earlier than that, but maybe they were different kinds of zoos. Who knows? And I know you've been waiting, but, this seems odd to have this after Christmas. National Fruit Cake Day. I remember when I was a kid, I'd be so disappointed to see Aunt this or Auntie that bring over a fruit cake. Or when you went to visit somebody. Does this ever happen to you, Sean? Do you ever get fruit cake? We're going to visit somebody. Oh, we forgot to bring something, so you'd stop at the store and pick up a fruit cake. Now, of course, we have a better translation of what a fruit cake is, and that's what we call each other when we're a little less than, excited about each other. I do like cake and I like fruit. I don't know why I don't like fruit cake, but it has those weird little green things in it. What are those green things? Does anybody know?
I thought they were cherries. But,
Candied fruit. It's candied fruit.
Oh, candied fruit.
Yeah.
Okay. So that too could be a nice way to describe somebody, right? You candied fruit, you. But anyway, make sure that, again, you look at that website, drhecm.com, and contact me. Let's talk about what makes life better. And, you'll never know about the reverse mortgage unless, of course, you know about it. I had a really, really great talk with a woman this morning at her home. It's kind of a far out there for me, but she was completely against it, and now she's doing one. But she has so many good stories to tell. We don't have time for all the stories that she told, but I certainly enjoyed being there. And as far as people's birthdays are concerned, it is Sidney Greenstreet. You remember Sidney Greenstreet?
I do not.
Well, you might when you... This is his first film. Now, he was the fat guy. I'm not going to say the guy that looked like me, but he was the portly feller, okay? The portly feller that was in this. And this DVD set, has 3 different versions. And believe it or not, the one with Bogart was the 3rd version. So, worth looking into. And Sidney was born in England, and at 18 he went to Ceylon, which we call Sri Lanka, as a tea planter. Not sure how somebody that, quote, portly could bend over and plant teas. I don't think he did it by hand. But he did, of course, he was able to give a lot of natural shade that way. So he went back to England after a drought and managed a brewery, which he looks perfect for, and eventually took up some acting lessons, and his first movie was Maltese Falcon, where he played Casper Gutman, which was followed by this film in short order, Casablanca, again, another laser disc, and then he made the character Nero Wolfe famous on radio for just 2 years, 1950 and 51. And I do remember the name Nero Wolfe, but I don't remember too much about it. And it was written by Rex Stout. Speaking of beer, Rex Stout is said to be the best mystery writer of the century, the 20th century, that is. Nero Wolfe had an assistant named Archie Goodwin, and William Conrad played the portly detective, Wolfe, coining the phrase armchair detective. So he would rather eat and tend to his orchids than run after bad guys. So food and orchids were Rex Stout's loves in real life, and that is cooking and orchards. So he was, or kids. So he was known as a gourmet cook. I am known as anything, including gourmet eater. So Archie was the brawn while Hugo sat and ate, and Hugo was the eater while Rex was the chef. So real quick, we spoke of seeing William Conrad in a long overcoat at Musso and Frank while dining and talking reverse mortgages with Orson Welles a few weeks ago. We were also, remember, Sean, you might, the one listener that wanted to know about John's Grill, which was featured in Maltese Falcon, and we talked a little bit about that too. We've got another birthday or so, but I think we better wait until the sponsors say, oh, what am I supposed to say, Kathleen? Oh, do you remember this, Sean? Are you old enough to have ever announced station identification? We'll give a break now so that there can be a station identification. Take it away. I'm just taking an extra few seconds here to put on my doctor's uniform. There, what do you think? Much better now. Let's see how you're doing here. Yeah, I think you're okay. I think you're okay. Now, I'm gonna take this little pen and write you a prescription. That prescription is for education. After all, knowledge is power, and www.drhecm, drheckham.com, or The Educated Retirement. Oh, here's my, let's take a look at these x-rays. Huh? What do you think? Huh? Okay. Very good. Now, we were talking about birthdays, and it's not mine. It is the year's birthday coming up, but Marlene Dietrich was born on this day in 1901, and she She gained her wings in 1992. And she was an accomplished violinist who started her career by playing soundtracks for silent films. So she probably was up front by the movies, and more people probably looking at her than the movies, so she got into the movies. The one I remember was a little bit, I don't have anything on it, was that with Charles Lawton and Tyrone Power, the Billy Wilder production of, or, direction of Witness for the Prosecution. Did you ever see that, Sean?
No, I sure didn't.
Yeah, I would highly recommend it. It's got a surprise ending. They even told you at the end of the movie, somebody stood up on stage. It was in the film and told you not to reveal the ending. So figure that one out. Touch of it, but those were the days when everybody went to the movies and it didn't really matter whether it was the beginning. Do you remember those, Kathleen? Was that kind of like that with you? You went with your friends. It was a double feature. You just went whenever. You watch the end of that, then the next one, cartoons, coming attractions, and then you watch the beginning of the one you started with. How about Touch of Evil? Do you remember that one, Sean?
No, can't say I do.
This is a real masterpiece, I think. Well, Witness for the Prosecution is too, but Touch of Evil was amazing. Touch of Evil is one of those noir things that, look at that picture of Orson Welles. This is after lunch at Musso and Frank's, but it's very, very, very dark, and it was also directed by Orson Welles, which I think made it one of the most fantastic of that type of film ever done. So there, and so let's see, Touch of Evil. And Oscar Levant. Oscar. You remember Oscar Levant? I'm talking to a kid, I guess. I wish I were a kid, so don't get all excited about that. I'm not worried about it. Oscar Levant was born in 1906, and he earned his wings in 1992, a pianist who made a name for himself just by being a friend of George Gershwin and putting on comic-related skits on stage, and a game show host too. So he was an accomplished pianist, but he was also like a Paris Hilton type that was just, and the Kardashian type where he was just, so don't think that's something that only came in this generation. He was that type of, I'm a celebrity and here I am. So he composed the music, though, for more than 20 movies, and popular songs that were on the hit parade. Now, Sean, you're probably too young for that, but the hit parade goes back to station identification days. And the first movie that he was in, Oscar, was Romance on the High Seas from 1948. I really like that movie. I've seen it many, many times. It was also the very first movie for Doris Day. So it was supposed to be called Romance on the High Seas, like the music, High C. Very funny. Anyway, like the music note or the chord, and directed by Michael Curtiz, who seems like he directed everything that ever came out of Warner Brothers, including Casablanca, which I think I showed you already today. So I won't show it to you again. But with that, we are at about the halfway, or a little past the halfway mark. But we have a few things about this day in history. So I'm going to go on a little because I'm not sure about our guest. Who? Oh, we do have a guest. All right. So I'm going to say real quick, I'm going to race through this, and then we'll be with Cynthia real soon. On this day in history, Knots Landing was released on this day from 1979 to 1933. I hated it. I remember being on the floor with my earphones on, listening to music when my wife had to see that. So producers liked the concept of it, but did not think it had enough pizzazz. So they took the same idea and created Dallas instead. And after seeing the success of Dallas, they went ahead with Knots Landing, or Snots Landing, as I called it. And in 1951, African Queen was premiered. So how do you like that? And it was Katharine Hepburn's very first movie. And I like this part. I just didn't, I don't know why I haven't realized this before, but Disney used the premise for the Jungle Cruise in Adventureland. And also, just to let you know, that, if I could find this again, but I kind of lost it. Well, that's all right. What was that about Ajax and
Marlena Dietrich was called.
Oh, it was Marlena Dietrich that was called what? The Queen of Ajax. Now, Ajax may be a little old for you also, but that was a cleanser. So she had the same kind of disease that, what's his name? The aviator. Who is it? Howard Hughes had. So, she also, African Queen. So The Exorcist also that year was the first horror movie to ever be nominated for a Best Movie Academy Award with 10 nominations. And did you know the first choice for the priest was actually Marlon Brando? And can you imagine? Anyway, Mercedes McCambridge, who we now know because she wasn't given credit at the time, was the voice of the demon. And I'm told she chain smoked a lot and drank a lot of extra, not just whiskey, but extra whiskey to prepare for that voice. And I guess she kicked off right after. No, I have no idea. Anyway, I'm going to now say goodbye and see you soon, not next year, but in about 2 or 3 minutes with our very, very fine guest. So take care. Some pretty healthy sweet. Who is that? Do you know? Oh, okay. Good old Standby Glenn. Now, I will get off this subject in a moment, but we were talking about The Exorcist, and here is my little lobby card signed by Linda Blair. Was that her name? That was her name. Yeah. See how old I am? I forget these things. Anyway, let me say goodbye to Facebook here because we won't have the other side of the conversation. Happy New Year. And let's go ahead and introduce Cynthia. Cynthia, you made it. Did you make it, or are you on your way still?
I'm still on my way. It's been a treacherous commute, but braved the commuters, the sleet, the snow, the closed down I-15 to be almost back to Orange County.
Well, all right. That's a good thing, I think. So, did you have a good time?
Well, I had a wonderful time. My family out in a beautiful community of outside Las Vegas called Summerlin, and we celebrated.
Summerlin, that's over on the west side.
Exactly, and we celebrated Christmas and Christmas Eve and saw beautiful decorations at the Wynn Hotel and Caesars, and ate some good meals, and
now you're talking. You know that I am definitely equipped to talk about good meals. Actually, I'm equipped to talk about any meals, but I do prefer good ones.
Well, we had multiple good meals, so I'm happy to share those with you.
Well, all right, let's go. So, but
lunch,
coming
lunch
back,
at
I mean,
the
I guess
home.
that was no real surprise, though, was it, with the traffic?
It wasn't, but it was awfully slow. So
Yeah. Is it still 2 lanes coming out of between the state line and? I think they.
No, it's opened
3
up,
now.
but it's
Yeah.
heavy traffic.
Yeah. And when it snows out and whatever, because I used to have like up to 4 different offices in Las Vegas, I would take the road to Nipton. You know Nipton?
Okay. I've seen that road.
It's a real neat little village with a little motel. And Kathleen, who was the old movie star that used to go there regularly from the silent era? I forgot who, but you can. Oh, Kathleen, you can look it up real quick. Nipton. You take that road and then down through the Tonopah Valley, and then you can, whatever. Too late now, but next time. And it's real pretty too. So it's the way that the train goes. You go next to the train tracks, and the train tracks always stay in the low ground if they can help it. So
Interesting.
So what have you got that's new? And then we'll get back to New Year's. But what is new with you? And tell us about you again. And who? Oh,
I work with
Clara Bow used to stay there all the time.
Bow.
So it was before there was a Las Vegas. But as far as being able to get to on the train, and sometimes I see freight train operators when they're there, they stop their freight train and get off and pick up some candy bars and then go on. But yeah, so they could drop off Sarah Bow. But tell us about your business, and then tell us about all the new things you're doing, and I will keep my mouth shut until I have to.
Okay. Well, I am Cynthia Sender, and I was a previous guest on your radio program.
A repeat offender, yes.
I'm a repeat offender, and I enjoyed it so much I'm back repeating the offense.
Okay.
And I represent a company called Care Assist Services, and I'm a gerontologist by training. So we deal with in-home care, usually for the elderly, but it can be anybody who needs some extra help at home.
Yeah, I have some education in old stuff too, but I didn't go to school for it. It comes natural when you get 120 years old.
It comes natural.
You got a long way to go, but you'll see.
I'm working on that degree, but my formal degree I earned at USC. There's actually a school of gerontology where you can learn about the study of aging, and so that is how I began working with the elderly, by studying through this very special program. And I work very closely and particularly we work with assisted living facilities and board and care homes and rehab hospitals and hospitals when people are moving from one type of care to another. Either they're being discharged or they still need help in the setting they're in, and then they go home and they need help to continue living independently. Yeah. So that's the kind of work
you find
we
most
do.
people like to stay home, right?
You know,
if they can.
I believe that it's something like 95% who've been surveyed, if they have the choice, would rather be at home.
Yeah.
If they can sustain that is where they'd like to be as they age and until the end, if that works out for them. So we help people do that.
So before I said I wasn't going to break in, but I'll just break in long enough for you to remind you to give your contact information now, and then you'll give it again a little bit later.
Sure. So our direct line is 949-276-8413, and that is our Care Assist Services office phone number. And our office is located in South Orange County, but we travel throughout the county and beyond to help our clients. So we can even go into parts of LA County and Riverside, adjoining areas.
Yeah, well, we got a lot of listeners in Riverside, San Bernardino, and everywhere else. So, and So all of that is good. And I think most of the listeners either know somebody that's old or will get old. And I like to say you need to talk to people like Cynthia now so that you need to interview people now that you may, not absolutely, but if you may need somebody in the future, call people like Cynthia now.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. What we like to do is we initiate the conversation really through what we call an in-home assessment. So the family gets together with the person who needs care, and either I or our founder, Janice, who's a nurse, will come out and do the assessment, and it's very prescribed set of questions that we ask, and we make observations and notes. And from that, we can determine what type of care would be best. And if it's not through us, we would recommend alternative solutions as well. So we can be the kind of the first stop somebody makes when they're not sure what they need to do to, take the next step if they have a question about the next step.
Well, there's always a next step out there. And, we may not want to come to it as quickly as now, but we have relatives, friends, and other people too, so we don't want to leave them out either. We need to think about them when considering calling you.
Exactly, and another thing we like to do is we like to educate. So we do some public speaking, we participate in community group events, churches, and synagogues and community centers that have a desire to learn more about the different senior services that are available and the costs associated with those services. So I'm always happy to be a speaker if anybody is looking for specific knowledge on the topic.
Yes.
And that's a good way to get to.
Yeah.
That's a good way to inform people.
I'd love to do that kind of thing. Now, did I meet you through Randy way back when?
I met you through, I believe it was Randy, yes.
Yeah. And Randy called in not too long ago to wish everybody and us a Happy New Year.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So we don't forget him in these, as much as I'd like to, we don't. No, sorry. So, yeah, go ahead. And, what do you think, unless you've got something else, let me just ask, is there kind of an age where, let's say somebody feels they're completely 100% healthy and they'll never get sick. Is there an age where they should start collecting information and calling you? Because by calling you, it's just collecting information, first step, right?
Sure. I think anybody who's approaching, somewhere in their early to mid 80s, it is usually the point where we start to see something has occurred. There's either a surgery, a fall, something changes usually when a person approaches that age range.
Yeah.
If it
but I'm thinking they
happened.
should call you before that. They should call, several different types of things, so they have those numbers handy. They've already talked to you. They already know you to trust you, and that kind of thing.
Well, that's a good point. So that's another reason why we try to educate the public, because a lot of times the public is not thinking about it until they learn, and then they realize they don't know all the things that they should know. So a lot of times the people we first hear from are the adult son or daughter of the person who's growing old. And that oftentimes, so a lot of times it's middle-aged people who are contacting me. It's people in their 40s, 50s, 60s who are starting to have concerns about their elderly parents. Or spouse. It can be a spouse calling, but usually it seems to be a younger family member.
Because sometimes the oldie, I can say that because I are one, they don't want to consider themselves having a problem, even though they are.
Yes,
I'm sure you must come across that from time to time.
There's a lot of denial. A lot of people believe sort of falsely that if they pretend they don't have any deficiencies, then they can kind of continue. But the truth is, if you get a little bit of help when you need it, and you can actually be safer in your home environment and prolong your healthy lifestyle. So I think people are caught up in this idea that if they need help, then somehow they're deficient. But in reality, getting a little bit of help will promote independence.
Yeah, true. Yeah, because I just now thought of it that when you get help, what's the first thing that came to my mind is I just lost my independence. And that's not true, is it?
Well, here's an interesting, I would say, kind of a note. A lot of people need help initially because they can't drive. They either can't drive because they've had a surgery or there's some medication involved, or they've been diagnosed with some condition where they're not able to drive. So that would be the first step for a lot of people to get help. Somebody to come in and drive them to appointments or to their senior center or meet with their friends. So that's a common occurrence, and it's really easily handled with a companion caregiver who drives. They all drive. They all have background check, background screening, insurance, bonding, driving records. So these are all the things that we bring to the table to assist families with.
That's you stop and think. I'm taking my time here because I'm thinking about all these things and how they relate to me and people I know. And I have friends that are even older than me, and they're still alive. Bruce, are you out there listening? And I know none of us want to think about things like this, but we have to. And then sometimes you get a fall or something or a health condition, and all of a sudden, even if you're in your 20s, but we're concentrating on older people, you have to look at this. And whether you are 25 or 85, you do want to keep as much of your own independence, as much as make as many of your own choices as possible, and enjoy yourself as much as you can. And getting help doesn't mean you're losing those choices. It means you're probably prolonging more choices than not.
Exactly. Well, I think what it actually means is you're making the decision for yourself rather than waiting for some calamity to dictate a decision.
Right.
Because the minute when you wait too long, then your children might be making the decision, or your spouse, or your nephew, or your neighbor. And in fact, you can be the one who's proactive, deciding how do you want to handle these things as they come about, if they come about.
Right, because when you get help doing something, at least you're getting help doing what you want to do. Once you're beyond having that kind of help, then you don't do what you want to do anymore.
Exactly.
So, we need to. So you already kind of gave us the average age kind of people you help or with, and we know pretty much the areas that you're in. I would say, go ahead and tell us again how to get a hold of you, and then anything else that you may think is important. I can think of so much that's important, but I want you to take it away.
Okay. So again, Cynthia Sender with Care Assist Services, and our direct office number is 949-276-8413. And we handle all types of care at home, and in fact, we are leaders in the field of dementia care at home, which is a little bit different.
We never even talked about that, did we?
We
take it for granted, but I was thinking of physical, but that leads to everything else that's physical, doesn't it?
Well, what's interesting about dementia care is when a person is diagnosed initially, they're usually in between the mild to moderate stage of dementia, and most of that deficiency they're seeing, the cognitive deficiency, we can help by bringing care at home, and it's very suitable for that person to remain at home where they have the familiarity around them, their family, their things, their own room, their community, and that there are many studies that show that is the ideal place to be when you suffer from dementia, because you can still be connected to those things that you know. So when people think about dementia care, a lot of times they're imagining being sent away to a facility, but that is not necessarily how it has to be. So again, learning about the options sooner rather than later is key, and also choosing the right company who has a deep understanding and skill set to provide that care at home, which means extra training of caregivers and staff. Because it is a little bit different type of care. Dementia care is a little bit different than just physical care.
Now, speaking of that dementia and that, well, first of all, I think that younger people or the children, caregivers or whatever, really need to understand what to do when their parents or whatever have a problem. I don't think most of them do. I think most of them still argue with the older people about, the pink elephant that's flying in the room or the green whatever. And that's not the right thing to do, is it?
Well, it's always a tough discussion and it's a tough talk to have, but it is something that doesn't need to be addressed. And I think you alluded to this earlier. Addressing it sooner rather than when it's a crisis will take the emotion out of the discussion. Talking about how a person would like to be cared for way before there is an immediate need or crisis would be ideal. And bringing in professionals who understand all the different issues to consider is a good way to neutralize that discussion.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe someday or whatever, maybe put on classes for children how to deal with parents with dementia. And another thing I was thinking about was sometimes a family will have a caregiver right there. They're one of their family members, one of the children, or a spouse, or something like that. Those people need a day off now and then, right?
Exactly. That's another great point. So we call that respite care. It's giving the primary caregiver respite from the strain of being the constant caregiver.
Because that's really, if you're doing it properly, it's a full-time job.
It is.
So, you shouldn't be thinking you can go to work or work 3 days a week or work during the day and then help mom out at night. It doesn't work that way.
Correct. And it's also it's physically and emotionally draining. So a person who's providing that support really does need that break, whether it be the weekends off or certain nights of the week off, to attend to their own families and their own needs.
Yeah. And if they can't get their own needs done, they're not going to be there for those that help them. Like when you're in an aircraft and they show you to put the oxygen mask on your face first, because without you, your children have nobody to take care of them. So
exactly. Well, there's another interesting phenomenon, and that is that the daughter, let's just say it's a daughter providing care, that the daughter can be the daughter and the caregiver can provide the care. So those lines and those roles become very blurry when the family becomes the complete caregiving support system.
And I don't want to bring up too much negative, but I would assume that if the daughter or the son become too much of a caregiver, they kind of move away from being the son or daughter in feeling anyway.
And they become resentful because they can't do the things they need to do with whether it be career or their own children. Something will suffer in the process. So it's good to bring in professional support and allow that.
We have 1 minute. But so I'm sorry you had to be only on the phone instead of seen. So we'll reschedule you, okay?
Sounds wonderful. I look forward to that.
Let's talk about that, because we can do it then in a more formal. You know how formal we are around here.
I love the formal.
But I want to wish everybody a happy New Year. And you too, Cynthia, of course.
Happy New Year.
Anybody you want to wish a Happy New Year to? Go right ahead.
Well, I wish Happy New Year to all of our wonderful clients that we serve at Care Assist Services and their families. A Happy New Year.
And I should sign off with my favorite joke of the year from I Get No Respect. When I was young, I had a lot of pimples. I remember one day I fell asleep in the library and woke up later to find a blind man reading my face. At least I said it straightforward that time without breaking up first time. Thank you, Rodney. Thank you so much, Sean, Cynthia. Sean, Happy New Year. And everybody else out there, thank you so much for a great year, and let's look forward to the next. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Educated Retirement Show with Jay Kaplan. Tune in every Friday at